Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's your time to EdUp on the EdUp Experience podcast, where we make education your business. We're making education your business here at Jenzabar Jam 2023, Orlando, Florida, Gaylord Palms Resort. I got it all out at once. I'm very excited to talk to our two guest co-hosts and guests today. You're going to hear a lot of noise around us right now. People are moving, migrating from one session to the next. It looks like they're sharing information. I see a lot of talking, a lot of people integrating back after this whole COVID deal, a lot of energy. And I think that's why we're doing these, right? Because we have to bring the energy back to higher education after, because of course, enrollment is tough. Serving students is hard, and we have to have the right partnerships in higher education to make these things happen. That's a segue to my guest co-host. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen. He's Chris Morgan. He's the intrapreneur at Jenzabar. Chris, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. And we're going to ask you what an intrapreneur is and what your role is at Jenzabar. But I want to bring my guest in. He is the guest of the hour here. What time is it? He's got a whole hour to be the guest of the hour. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen. He is Neal Dyer. He's Chief Technology Officer at Southeastern University. Neal, what's going on?
Hey, thanks for having me. Having a good time.
Boy. Well, let's start, Chris. Let's start with you. Intrapreneur at Jenzabar. What is the intrapreneur?
Yeah, sure. The idea is to be able to build businesses inside a corporation like an entrepreneur would. So you have a lot of freedom. The only constraints are you want to make sure you're building a business that is in line with the tenets of the company. You know, our vision, our mission, our values.
Well, I am. So are you building then subsidiaries within Jenzabar, or are you like each project as a business that you're running new projects?
It varies. So really, my job is to think outside the box, use resources not necessarily that are within the company, and try to take the company into avenues that we're not going already.
What is the campus marketplace and the campus movement about?
So the campus movement is really about our goals to let everybody realize their full potential. So currently, as everybody knows, there's a lot of inequity in higher education. And there's also a lot of market changes that are happening where a lot of students are not going to college. They're choosing alternative routes. They're looking for different ways to get meaningful, sustainable jobs. And so the campus movement in general is about reaching outside of using our assets and our partnerships with our many universities, but also reaching outside that to the workforce and to job seekers at all ages and giving them opportunities.
We like opportunities.
Amazing.
One person that is creating a lot of opportunities is our guest, Neal Dyer, for his staff, for students. Talk about Southeastern University. Neal, where is Southeastern University? Who do you serve? How do you serve it?
Yeah, absolutely. We are located in Lakeland, Florida, which is right between Tampa and Orlando. So it's interesting, as a lot of the country is facing kind of downturns in enrollment. Everybody's moving to Florida. So
Nailed it.
So it's kind of growing in that way. You know, we have an opportunity that a lot of places around the country maybe don't have in that way, kind of on our campus. So that's been fun to see that happen in light of kind of, the state of affairs and the current culture in higher ed. So we're an older university. It's been around, I think, since the early 1900s. We're a private Christian university based around the Assemblies of God denomination. But we've really kind of been able to break out of just that kind of old school Christian college. And so we're beginning to reach into a lot of areas and a lot of partnerships. And so folks that are kind of seeking conservative, minded education, we're finding them come to the university. So
yeah, it is a very interesting time we live in now, isn't it? What's very interesting, and I said this earlier on the episode in the introduction, is partnerships matter in higher ed. Can't do it alone. You got to. It's impossible. And so as you, Chris, you go and start designing campus marketplace, you pull in design partners, and that was you, Neal, right? You're a design partner.
Absolutely.
What does that even mean? Like, how does this work? Set the stage for us, Chris, and then Neal, talk about what it is to be a design partner.
I mean, essentially, as you build a solution, you make a lot of guesses. And in the case of Campus Marketplace, so it's a three-part solution that has software for non-traditional programming for schools. So, dual enrollment, corporate partnerships, people coming, that don't want to be necessarily a full-time student, but still want to take skills-based courses. And then we have content and marketing as well. So lots of guesses in there, and we don't want to assume too much. So as we develop that, as we develop the pricing, as we develop the pitch, everything about the product, we want to talk to practitioners, people who are really having these problems.
Epic. Love that.
Yeah, we look at it like as a being a design partner it's almost like it's an extension of our IT department. We don't necessarily have the programmers on staff, and we don't want to recreate the wheel by building a solution. But we also want to say so in how it's built. We feel like we've been a customer for 29 years, so we feel like we've kind of earned the right to be able to speak into what it is that Jenzabar is building. And I think we're one of the larger customers of Jenzabar, so I feel like we also add value to Jenzabar in that way, that if they're only looking at their smaller schools and building solutions, then they're going to kind of be pigeonholed in that way. So as we kind of help speak into that for our needs, we think that it in turn also helps Jenzabar kind of maybe have the opportunity to reach larger universities as well.
100%.
Yeah, that's totally right. And you can't always do this well, but one of the things that we try to do is get a diverse group of universities, diverse sizes, diverse needs. Neal's university represents kind of a larger and with really complex needs. So Neal is and his team are challenging us in meaningful ways based on the real problems that they have. Like we were talking the other day about dual enrollment. So this is a growing trend across the country, but having high school students have the opportunity to take college classes is solving a lot of problems.
While in high school.
It's solving a lot of problems and is solving a lot of inequity as well.
Yeah.
So you all have a pretty strong program there, right?
We do, and it's even outside of like traditional based high school students. We've got pushing upwards of 3,000 of those that are actually in a high school, but then we've got a lot of homeschool students as well that are in these cohorts or in these kind of areas that are connected together in some way, either by faith or, kind of classical conversations kind of mindset. And so they're looking for partners to partner with to get their dual enrollment credits. And a lot of universities aren't bending, like they're not kind of tailoring the needs that they have. And so we've started searching, and we're like, okay, they don't maybe fit through the traditional enrollment and registration process that a normal student does. So how do we adapt to that? And how do we be a little more dynamic for them? And so we reached out to Jenzabar, and that's kind of where we came in as a design partner. We're like, hey, we got to get outside of the mold of the traditional student mindset. What do you got?
Yeah.
And they kind of presented this option, and we're like, okay, at first we're like, well, that doesn't really fit our needs. What else do you got? And so they kind of came around with another iteration of it. And we're like, yeah, that's cool. We're liking that. It allows our students an easy pathway in, less roadblocks, allows them to get through really quickly.
Well, I was going to say, since the two of you are here together talking about, marketplace, campus marketplace, and being a design partner, I'm assuming it's gone well. And, it's gone well because the listening happens and the response happens and the product is built based on specific, so you look at how all those things work. That is not always how it works when it comes to a university and vendors.
Absolutely.
Why has this been such a successful partnership for you both?
I mean, for me, it's, listening is key. And I think that Neal's approaches us truly as a partnership. So he's not, you don't get into these meetings and you don't feel like you're being browbeaten in any way, or that they don't understand the complexities of building product. So they're very open to, give and take, but they also challenge us in really, really good ways. So Neal mentioned, our first iteration of this product, not only for Neal, but for other folks, it wasn't hitting the mark. And so we kind of went back to the drawing table, listened, and researched a lot and came back. And this iteration seems to be hitting the mark a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely. I would, to add on to that, like just the relationships that we've built over the years with senior level executives at Jenzabar, we feel heard, like we feel valued from them. And so, I mean, to us, that says there's value in kind of the longevity of this relationship, because we've been able to build those relationships that now adds value to the product and to our solution. I know that's kind of the thing is you sign a 3-year contract with somebody and you kind of jump ship depending on price or what you like or what you don't like. But we're in it for the long haul, and we're like, there's things that's never going to work, maybe perfectly, but no matter what system you have or, what solution, we value those relationships over maybe some of the, things that can be frustrating or the things that don't work exactly right. Because we realize, you go to any SIS and that's going to be you're going to have that, but we won't have those relationships.
And that is important, right? Every SIS, no matter who it is, it's everything comes with its own idiosyncrasies.
Absolutely.
When it comes to technology. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
It's the service that matters the most, right? Because if something isn't working exactly the way you want, but you know that you're being heard and somebody is telling you we're working on it to make it work for your business, giving you response times, SLAs, being able to get back to you, that matters a lot. It matters a lot so that you can move on and do your rest of your business. And so I want to take a step to the left here. Technology, it's becoming more and more important, right? We've got this thing.
Artificial intelligence.
We've got hackers. We've got cybersecurity issues. So the job of a CTO is one part, save the business today from being hacked. One part, how is this business going to look, an institution going to look 5 years from now on a technology stack? Oh, by the way, what about 20 years from now? Will we even have people around? I mean, there's just so many questions. How do you keep it all straight? How do you balance day-to-day and strategy?
Oh, man. I guess the buzzword on that's what digital transformation. There is nothing that happens at the university without technology touching it. A business process doesn't exist any longer without there being technology ingrained in that. In every university now, because we're squeezed even tighter, resources, budgets, everything is just, it seems like it's a pipe dream to have any of that. We're forced to do way more with way less, and that's technology. That's where it comes in. And
that's a fact. That's a fact.
One thing we've tried to do is leverage what we have. I heard in a meeting earlier this week, one of our executive summits, the person said, you have to leverage what you have. And, we realized after 20 years of being with Jenzabar, we were barely scratching the surface on what we had with Jenzabar. And so that's when I remember calling our sales executive and I said, all right, we've been dating for a long time. We're ready to get married.
I like your style, dude.
So whatever you got, start throwing at us, whatever ideas you have for the stuff we're doing, tell us what it is. And you start sending contracts this way, we'll start signing them, because we got to leverage what we have, and we got to stop chasing kind of technology to make things happen. We got to realize it's part of it. It's here. It's not going to happen without it. So yeah, IT is we're running like crazy, and it's not just the ones and the zeros anymore fixing the printers. We're in every business process on campus.
Do you think the role of a CTO, CIO is elevated to where it should be? Do you think that universities, colleges, your colleagues across, going, yeah, you know what, I'm sitting at the table, I'm in the middle of every single decision, or is there some ambiguity in terms of how institutions are leveraging their expertise?
Yeah, obviously, I think it's every context is different, but I would think as a whole, just from the folks that I talk to, I would say no, it's probably not. Some are. Cybersecurity compliance is driving that a little bit. It's kind of pushing people up to the table more, but it's more so we don't want to get popped and not being compliant. But then I think, that's where the CTO or CIO has the opportunity to grab a hold of that opportunity and say, hey, along with that, you realize like I have to, what we're doing is going to affect every single thing that's happening, or every single thing that we want to do. And so I think it's what we've done at Southeastern is probably only in the last 10 years has kind of technology got that seat at the table that it needs. And when we realized we were at the table, we took every advantage of it we could, and we squeezed it. We're still squeezing the lemon as hard as we can. So
nailed it.
So we're excited about that, but it's work. And I just had a conversation the other day that CTOs have to become and CIOs have to become a politician, because you have to be able to you have to be able to sell your product internally. And your IT staff has to change as well. Like they have to go from kind of being behind the scenes and, coders stuck behind a computer. Like everybody has to be out front. everybody has to be leading that charge. Like everybody has to be selling, again, that buzzword, digital transformation across campus, so that you're elevated to the point where you're what you say is valued.
Yeah. It's interesting because, typically when you think of a chief technology officer, CIO, your hiring profile is not, let me get the big collaborator that's going to cross all these and politic and, go through this shared governance process.
And that's exactly what you're doing.
And that is exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's hard work to do that because there's a lot of barriers, built-in barriers within higher ed that bureaucracies, I'll call them, that make that hard.
Yeah.
What about Chris? What about those items? Artificial intelligence, security. Anytime you're building a product, running a new initiative, you've got Graham Leach Bliley, you've got GDPR, you've got states with individual regulations coming out. How do you partner with
people writing those that have no idea what technology even is?
It's a challenge. You've got to, especially with security, there's just certain things that have to be in place before you even start, and those things are increasingly expensive and hard to implement, and things are changing all the time, so you have to keep on top of it. Artificial intelligence, on the other hand, is making things exponentially easier for us. I mean, we're already building tools that will have really strong meaning with generative AI. For folks that don't have solutions right now. So that's exciting, but the two are converging as well. So we got to keep an eye on, how hacking is going to change with generative AI.
Yeah. Neal, you were saying the easiest part of your job is change management. Oh, no, you didn't say that.
No, not really.
That's a big part of being a chief technology officer, obviously, is you're always implementing something or changing something. And I said this earlier to a couple folks. We users tend to hang on to whatever process we own because we feel if that process is taken from us that we control, somehow it's going to lessen your importance. Right. It's not necessarily about changing the process. It's about feeling like somehow it's going to affect me personally. That is the toughest part of change management. How do you handle that at Southeastern?
And this is weird for IT, but we're learning to tell our story better. Like we're learning to communicate the wins, because we've seen some wins where we've been able to kind of infiltrate areas that were like that, create, maybe not even change their workflow process, but like implement technology into that, whether it be digitizing a form that was still handwritten or creating a workflow that helps move something along to the next person, or introducing a system or a platform like, Marketplace that helps kind of create a better experience for users. So that's kind of what's driving it for us, is the user experience. And so when we evaluate a process that someone has where we want to get in and help them out, we always start with the user experience. And if it's bad, it's like, well, that's easy. Like the student's got a roadblock here, or the student is taking longer, or, we could help you not to have. The thing I like to say to my end users when I'm really working with them is like, look, I want you in front of a student. I don't want you in front of a spreadsheet.
Bullseye.
And so when they begin to see it that way, it's like I'm not taking something from them, but I'm like, because that's really, these people aren't paid well. They're there to help students, but when they're sitting there doing data entry all day long, now all of a sudden I'm saying, look, I don't want to take a process away from you. It's important, but let's digitize that so that now you can be in front of a student and you can really feel empowered in what you're doing, and you see value at the end of the day. You weren't just putting numbers in a spreadsheet. So
I love that.
So I think we have to reframe it and tell our story better, and I think, historically IT's coming in, it's just like, get out of the way, the old, IT crowd, get out of the way. I'm going to fix this. And I think we have to, and that's part of being that politician, not just with leadership, but also with end users, is we have to better tell our story and what we're doing.
I love that. Well, gentlemen, our time is at an end. Before we go, I want to give you, Chris, a chance to say anything you want about Campus Marketplace at Jenzabar. Sure. Anything at all.
Yeah, so Campus Marketplace is launching here at JAM. It is a full-service solution for non-traditional programming. So anything from non-credit courses to dual enrollment to corporate partnerships. It's designed for that, and it includes technology, software, it includes content, and it includes marketing. So hopefully that's a full service for a lot of folks to jumpstart their programs and earn new revenue, increase their DEI, and solve a lot of other problems.
Love that. Anything, Neal, about Southeastern you want to say? Southeastern University, anything at all? Open mic.
Love it. Best place to be. Great values. Great location. Gorgeous campus. If you're listening to this and you're looking to send kids to college, would love for you to check it out. seu.edu.
Love it. Ladies and gentlemen, our time's at an end, so let me outro. My guest co-host today, he's Chris Morgan, entrepreneur at Jenzabar. Chris, did you enjoy this experience on the mic here at EdUp?
Yeah, it was fun.
Good. Our guest of the hour. He's still the guest. He's going to be the guest of the next hour, too. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is. He's Neal Dyer. He's Chief Technology Officer at Southeastern University. Neal, did you enjoy your time here?
Had a blast. Thanks for having me.
Oh, what fun. Ladies and gentlemen, you've just EdUp'd.